What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be reviewing Nightmare on Elm Street Up All Night, a brand new fan film from Jeremy Brown from Brown Space Films. If you don't know who Jeremy Brown is, he directed Friday the 13th Vengeance, so you knew you kind of had something special when Up All Night was announced. I will say, anytime I go into a Nightmare on Elm Street fan film, I get really nervous because this is probably the hardest fan films to do are the Nightmare on Elm Street ones, is you have to get somebody who can try to recreate the one and only Robert Englund. And that is just a very, very tough thing to do. Not to mention, it's hard to make the look of Freddy feel right as well. So I always get nervous going into these. But luckily, as time has gone on, it's been a lot easier to make Freddy look good with silicone mask, as you know, artists out there are getting more and more talented and just making it look pretty perfect. There are some people that look exactly like Robert does in the original film. So, and then you got directors who are smart, like Jeremy Brown, and writers like Matt Shaw, who wrote Up All Night, that know how to work around the fact that we don't have Robert Englund. So the first thing, right off the bat, I will say they handled that extremely well. It was a fan film driven off good writing, good character development, and has Freddy there, and you see him, but it's done so subtly, so hidden in the dark. It sounds, it looks, it feels good. So that was if that was the biggest concern going into this, good to go. I think it was extremely well done on that part there. Now I will say, I can't really judge this fan film without talking about spoilers. So spoilers lie ahead. If you want to check the film out for yourself, it's in the link in the description. Maybe come back to this, hear my thoughts. There are some things I just simply can't avoid. The film itself, under 20 minutes, a relatively short fan film, but it's done in such a way, like I said, driven off character development, that I really enjoy it. Matt Shaw, the writer, has written so many books, has written so many screenplays. He knows exactly what he's doing. And not to mention, he also performs, he stars in the fan film. So to be able to take your own writing, know how you want it to be formed, and then be able to do it yourself, I thought he did a great job. And then you have Rebecca, whose last name I can't say, who plays Marlowe, did a wonderful job as well. And their dynamic and their development together, I thought was fantastic. And then just starting off in a bar environment and slowly hinting at Freddy, I think it was just a much better way to handle it. And of course, Jason Brooks being in the mix there, having the character of Louis return from Friday the 13th Vengeance and be in the bar, not only is it good writing, it's just well performed. Jason Brooks absolutely nails that character. It's funny because I've seen him do a live stream in character as Louis, and the fact that he can just kind of go, he doesn't matter what you throw at him, he can still make up lines that fit the character. Obviously, he nailed that part. So the setup itself, the fact when they get to the point where there's nightmares here, it seems like she's just using him for drugs, which I think is smart. Once you're that desperate, that's probably the step you're going to go to. Drugs, cocaine, it makes sense that if you're desperate to stay awake, that's the step you're going to go to. And I'm actually surprised that didn't become more of a thing in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. We see it. We saw it a little bit in Dream Warriors, but you would think at that point, if you really want to stay awake, you would probably be snorting cocaine the entire time. So it was interesting to finally see that come into play within this fan film. Of course, then we get to a point of death, and when this is where, again, practical effects can be tough, but I actually think they kind of nailed this. They have this, they're pushing towards this sex one night stand type of thing, which is the name Up All Night comes into that mix. And the way Marlowe goes out in an interesting little, it's hard to, an arm through her vagina comes out and attacks Matt Shaw, which is just, you don't really expect it. Well, it's done pretty well, though, all considered. And this is the first time we really get a look at Freddy. And I think, again, it's done well. The only thing I didn't really like about Freddy at all is his line that he has. It feels like a very forced. There's a bitch in there. It's just like the line and then bitch. It almost felt like It almost felt like Rick and Morty. It almost felt like that. I don't know why Freddy doesn't say. I don't think Freddy really says bitch as much as people remember. I mean, he says it, right? Like, welcome to prime time, bitch. It's like one of the most iconic lines in the franchise. But like, I always felt with Scary Terry, you know, and them forcing bitch every time. This is not really the Freddy character, which is why it's a joke in the series. So when he said bitch and it was an awkward pause there in the film, that was like the one time I was like, oh, that feels a little off. But other than that, I mean, really, it's like Freddy's like on point. Now let's talk about when things take a drastic turn. So it ends up all being a dream. It turns out, you know, Matt Shaw, Rebecca, their characters are married, and or at least so it seems, are together at the very least, and they're having their own nightmares. And that's what the whole film is their nightmare, or Matt's nightmare. But then things take a bit of a twist as Jason, like Voorhees Jason, randomly comes into the room after they wake up and kills them both. And I believe they had a different plan for this, but that happens so suddenly. And you know, it's not the fact that it happened suddenly, it's the fact that, like, why is Jason in their house? I mean, I guess, to be fair, it kind of makes sense, because what this appears to be is just one big test from Pinhead, who also makes an appearance in the film. And again, I thought they handled that really well, because that's another one that it is tough to recreate, because you were talking one and only Doug Bradley doing that, and it's very hard to recreate his performance and recreate the look of Pinhead. But they shot it so well. They shot it with him out of focus, and they don't need to show the little details. And I thought the voice acting was pretty great as well. So you have that. I thought they handled that well. And then you hear the summoning. I mean, it's basically Pinhead's like, hey, Jason, you're doing a great job. You're listening to me. Way to go kill those guys. You're gonna fit great in hell. Which is here. Then we see like Fire Eyes Jason, which comes off as Savini Jason. I'm assuming that's very much intentional. Some VFX that go along with that are a little weird, but they're overall very well done for a short fan film. There's only so much you can do. The budget's only so big, you know. But you have that, and you have Savini, or what feels like Savini Jason, come into play there at the end as Jason's about to make his way into hell. And then Freddy, on the other hand, also tested by Pinhead, proves to be a failure. He can't do the job right. It's a very interesting change. It's something you don't see too often in fan films, mixing characters like that and doing it well. There are a handful out there that have taken all his characters, put them together, and handled it pretty well. But there's a lot of really bad ones. And I thought that Up All Night did a really good job of putting those characters together, making sense out of it for the most part, and being entertaining with it too. And like treating those characters with respect is the big thing. Don't just have them there because you're like, hey, they're there. Like, there's actually a reason. And I feel that with Pinhead, and that's exactly how this story behind Freddy and like Freddy's Dead, for example, always felt to me like a story that could easily wrap it and evolve around Pinhead, which is why everybody used to talk about Freddy vs. Jason versus Pinhead, and that's why Pinhead was supposed to be at the end of the Freddy vs. Jason originally, back in 2003. There's a reason that they can fit so easily together, and that's exactly what Up All Night did. So overall, I feel like I'm rambling at this point, but overall, it's a fun fan film. It's different. I think it handles Freddy better than probably any fan film I've really seen that truly has post, you know, like Freddy after being burnt, you know, being in the dream world. I think that is probably the best fan film I've seen surrounding Freddy, because literally some people he's just in there and he looks bad and he sounds bad, and it's just like, that's not what we want. People forget, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street, the first Nightmare on Elm Street, Robert Englund has 7 minutes of screen time in the whole movie. There's a reason for that. And, you know, Wes Craven was very smart about how he handled that. And that's what I think Up All Night took that and ran with that. It's like, we don't need him there much. We need characters that matter. And then we can just sneak Freddy in there subtly, and people will be happy. And that's exactly what they did. They handled it extremely well. So that is my thoughts. If I was going to rank it out of 10 on a fan film scale, I mean, it's 8 out of 10 to me. On a fan, like, you had to judge fan films differently to me, and Up All Night definitely stands out amongst the masses here when it comes to fan films. You know, there's only in terms of top 10 fan films, there's only so many fan films that can really be on such a professional level like that. And Up All Night, I thought, especially because of the writing, was very special. But that's my thoughts. Please, if you've seen it, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But that's going to wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. And of course, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. And I'll see you next time.